All right, we already explained how to do the probability of x equals exactly a value using the continuity correction. And now we're going to do some with x is greater than or equal to, x is greater than, and also the less thans. Let's go ahead and take a look at the example, and I've tweaked it. So now it says the probability that half or more are padded. So this is the same example I covered in the previous video, but now I've tweaked what we're looking for. So what does that mean? Well, my givens are the same, and I want probability that more than half are padded. Half would be 45 claims, so it's still over here. And I want greater than 45, right? So greater than or equal to 45. So I would include the 45 in my number. Now, if I'm using, this is the binomial distribution that I had before. So I'm going to just kind of go over how to do it with a binomial, and then we'll do the approximation. So in the old days, I would do binomial, and I could do it the hard way, do 45, 46, and go all the way to 90. But who wants to do that when we can just do 1 minus this answer? Because remember, your calculator with binom CDF will give you from x equals 0 all the way to where you tell it to stop. Now, where will I tell it to stop? At 44, because I don't want the 45 in there. I want the 45 in the yellow piece. And I'm going to calculate the pink piece and subtract that from 1. So to calculate the pink piece, basically I'm going to use binom CDF. There's my 90. Let me pull up CDF, second distribution. Make sure you don't do PDF. And then I put in my 90, my 0.4, and my 44. Don't really have to hit parentheses, but it's nice. Okay, so I get 0.0346. So that's using the binomial distribution. Let's go ahead and do the approximation. So with the approximation, if you remember, I did this rectangular box around 45. Now I want half or more, and so remember the left side of the box is 44.5 and the right is 45.5. Since I want more, I'm going to shade to the right. And how do I deal with the box? Do I use the left side or the right side for my x1? Well, I do want to include the red bar because it's 45 or more. So I actually do want this here. So I'm going to say x1 is actually over here at 44.5 because it says half or more. Now I'm going to calculate the z-score using 44.5 and I get 1.83. Z2 is going to be 1,000 because I'm going all of the way to the right. So I'm just going to do normal CDF of 1.83 and 1,000. So we find normal CDF by hitting second distribution, and it's the second option, 1.83 and 1,000. And I got the number that I show here on the screen. Now notice that this is very close to what we got on the binom PDF, but not exactly the same. So if we ask you to do a normal approximation, don't assume you can do the binom CDF or PDF or the binomial distribution and get the right answer. We are asking you to go ahead and do this answer instead of that answer. All right. Now let's talk about wording because that was half or more. So if I was to repeat this problem, but I said more than half, well, definitely I still have more like before, but I don't want to include the red bar because it's more than 45. So my x1 would actually change for this wording, more than half, and I would get a different z-score of 2.04. And basically I do the normal CDF, and I'm not going to do the calculator again. But once you punch that in, you're going to get 0.0207. Notice that this is a little bit smaller than what we got last time, and that's because we did not include the red box. Okay, so some general guidelines for probability that x is greater than or x is greater than or equal to. Z2 is easy because it's 1,000. You're going all the way to the right on the curve. X1, which is going to help us find Z1, depends if it is greater than or equal to. If we say greater than, we want to start to the right of the box. We don't want to include the box, so we're going to add 0.5 to get our x1. If we want greater than or equal to, we actually have to start to the left of the box because we want to include that value. And so we actually have to subtract 0.5 to correct for that. You still need mu and sigma to calculate Z1, and you're going to still use that same formula. and calculate the probability with normal CDF, except you only need to do one z-score, and 1,000 is the other z-score. Let's take a quick look at half or less. So I just want to make sure that we're set on that one. So I'm going to shade to the left because of less. And, whoops. So Z1 is definitely negative 1,000. That's fine. But I am going to include the red bar. So here, why I said whoops is this was automatically shaded. It's correct. So I just meant to do the timing with this. We're going to include the red bar because it's 45 or less. All right. Now, if I had said less, I would have started at 44.5. But since I said half or less, then I actually want to include the red box, so I'm going to use 44.5. All right. Half or less is 44.5. Less than half would be 44.5. So get my z-score, which is 2.04. I've already calculated it. Do my normal CDF, which is 0.9793 after I do that. And by the way, what's 1 minus 0.9793? 0.0207, which is the answer we got for more than half. Not half or more, but more than half because of that little red box. So the guidelines for less than are pretty much the same. Now instead of Z1 that's easy, it's Z2 that's easy, it's Z1 because we're starting all the way to the left. X2 depends if it's less than or equal to. If it's less than, you want to start less than the box, right? If it's less than or equal to, you want to start a little right of the box so you include the original x. Still need to calculate, you still need mu and sigma so you can calculate Z2. So if those are not given, here are the formulas. And here's how you calculate your Z2 value. And you do normal CDF. Remember, you're going to start at negative 1,000 because we're doing the less thans up to Z2.